At a French cooking class in the Toyotama district of Tokyo, one student stood out among the others. Her name was Kanae Kijima. This woman was short, with a plump figure, dressed in simple athletic wear, and wore no makeup. Compared to the other ladies attending the cooking class, she seemed to be from another world. Yet, the attraction she exuded was unexpectedly powerful. The number of people who pursued her was countless, and she had received over 1,000 love letters by email alone. As night fell, she drove her luxury car back to a high-end apartment complex in Toyotama. Upon returning home, she took out premium ingredients she had purchased earlier that day and prepared a delicate dish. Afterward, she happily snapped a photo of the meal, then took a selfie showing off her well-maintained hair. She edited a short caption and posted it on her personal website, leaving viewers in deep thought. Just as she was about to relax, a new email notification sounded. Looking at the heartfelt words from the sender, Kanae Kijima's lips slightly curled upward. At that moment, an unknown plan quietly began to take shape in her mind. On Thursday, August 6th, 2009, the morning sunlight poured down and the air felt thick with invisible humidity, stifling. In an outdoor parking lot in Fujiyoshida City, Yamanashi Prefecture, a driver was searching for an empty parking spot. Soon, he spotted a space next to a car at the far corner. As he slowly moved toward the spot, he suddenly noticed something unusual inside the other car. The driver quickly got out and went to check, knocking on the window and calling out, but there was no response. The car door was locked and couldn't be opened. A sense of unease filled him, and he immediately called the police. The police quickly arrived at the scene. After forcing open the door, they confirmed that a man inside the car showed no signs of life. In the car, they found a charcoal burner with burnt-out charcoal and other items. Based on the situation at the scene, the police initially presumed it to be a suicide. However, the coroner's report revealed the presence of sleeping pills in the body, and it was preliminarily determined that the cause of death was carbon monoxide poisoning. The estimated time of death was between 7 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. the previous evening. As the investigation of the scene progressed, some suspicious details began to emerge. The car door was locked, all the windows were closed, but the car keys were not inside the vehicle. There were no signs of the man having touched the charcoal. While matches had been found, the matchbox was missing. How could he have struck a match? These unusual details raised the possibility of murder. Through identification documents, the police quickly confirmed the victim's identity. His name was Okubo Tsuyoshi, 41 years old, an office worker from the Chiyoda district in Tokyo. His home was over 12 miles away from the parking lot where his body was discovered. According to colleagues and neighbors, he was a typical introverted otaku, living alone and spending most of his time at home with few social interactions. A person with such a simple life, why was he found at this distant parking lot? The police began to focus on Okubo Tsuyoshi's personal interests, trying to find clues from his limited social circle. They discovered that Okubo Tsuyoshi was a model-making expert, well known in the modeling community. He was particularly skilled at making tank models, having won several awards. His works were even featured in numerous modeling magazines. Over the past 6 months, he had completed 14 pieces, participated in 9 competitions, and won awards in 3 of them. At the modeling competitions, he showed a different side of himself than when he was working, once stating that he would not participate in competitions he had already won, with a sense of arrogance and a challenging spirit. Okubo Tsuyoshi also ran a personal website called Tank Models. He not only shared his meticulously crafted models, but occasionally revealed personal details about his life. One post, made the day before the incident, caught the attention of the police. He wrote, "Actually, I'm 41 years old, and have recently been making an effort to get married. Today, I will meet her family. I've also been looking for a new house, discussing our new life together. Tonight, we will begin a 3-day, 2-night pre-marriage trip. After marriage, I might temporarily stop making models, but I will recharge, and I will definitely make a full recovery in the future." This indicated a significant change in Okubo Tsuyoshi's love life. He had recently met a woman and suddenly announced his intention to marry. The result was that on the second day of their pre-marriage trip, he passed away. Even more suspiciously, no items related to the trip were found in his car. The police suspected that this bride-to-be was closely connected to the case and immediately began investigating her. The investigation eventually revealed the identity of the bride-to-be. She was none other than Kanae Kijima, mentioned earlier in the story. She was 34 years old, unemployed, but lived a fairly extravagant lifestyle. She resided in a high-end apartment in Toyotama, Tokyo, with a monthly rent of 220,000 yen, approximately $1,500. She always drove a luxury car to attend classes for the elite and was active on dating platforms. She meticulously ran a personal website called Kanae's Kitchen, where she shared high-end ingredients she enjoyed, fine dining experiences, beauty moments, and travel, creating the image of a joyful woman who was good at cooking. Additionally, she openly expressed her desire for marriage on her website, stating that she wanted to find an older man to marry and live a stable life together. She mentioned that she was an excellent cook and could take care of her partner's meals and daily needs. 1 month before the incident, Okubo Tsuyoshi, 41, came across Kanae Kijima's profile on a dating website and became intrigued. After proactively sending an email, the two began to get to know each other. Kanae Kijima was gentle and thoughtful, taking meticulous care of him. Her exceptional cooking skills won Okubo Tsuyoshi's heart. Less than a month into their relationship, he proposed to her. Kanae Kijima told him that she wanted to attend a cooking school to learn how to make even more delicious dishes, adding more happiness to their new life together. However, she did not have enough money for tuition. In response to such a request, Okubo Tsuyoshi, deeply immersed in happiness, didn't hesitate for a moment and immediately transferred 4.7 million yen, approximately $32,000, to her. The police discovered that just 1 month after Okubo Tsuyoshi's death, Kanae Kijima was living with another man. His name was Mr. Isobe, 46 years old, and he lived in Noda City, Chiba Prefecture. At that time, Kanae Kijima was residing at his home. Although Kanae Kijima was the prime suspect, the police did not yet have concrete evidence and could only try to investigate her cohabitant, Mr. Isobe. The police called him and asked if he knew Kanae Kijima, subtly mentioning that she might be involved in some fraudulent activities and inquiring if he needed assistance from the police. To their surprise, Mr. Isobe's voice came through the phone, agitated and defensive. He angrily rejected the idea, insisting that his girlfriend, Kanae Kijima, was kind, thoughtful, and meticulous and could never be involved in such things. He then hung up the phone. Mr. Isobe had only known Kanae Kijima for a few days, yet he trusted her so much, which surprised the police. However, 4 days later, the police gathered evidence that Kanae Kijima might be linked to another fraudulent scheme, and they arrested her. Similar to the case with Okubo Tsuyoshi and Mr. Isobe, this case also involved a marriage pretext. During questioning, Kanae Kijima claimed that the money was voluntarily given to her by the other party and did not constitute fraud. When the police asked her about Okubo Tsuyoshi's case, Kanae Kijima remained calm. She explained that during her time getting to know Okubo Tsuyoshi, she gradually realized that they weren't a good match. She said that on the day they were supposed to go on a trip together, she changed her mind halfway through, suggested they break up, and then left with her luggage. She claimed she didn't know anything about what happened afterward. Meanwhile, Mr. Isobe was still shaken by his girlfriend's arrest. However, when he looked around his home in a daze, he suddenly noticed that 7 fire alarms, which had been installed in his house, were missing. Recalling the police's previous hints, he felt a chill run down his spine and finally accepted the reality. Mr. Isobe then recounted to the police how he had met Kanae Kijima. In early September that year, Mr. Isobe came across Kanae Kijima on a dating website. Her profile mentioned that she loved cooking, preferred older men, and would be open to marrying quickly if they were a good match. This perfectly matched Mr. Isobe's expectations, so he sent her an email. 2 weeks later, Kanae Kijima replied and introduced her personal website, Kanae's Kitchen. The site showcased various handmade dishes that satisfied Mr. Isobe's ideal of a perfect partner, They both expressed their intentions to marry. The very next day, they eagerly arranged to meet. Their meeting took place at Kanae Kijima's luxury apartment in Toyotama. It was summer, and Kanae Kijima greeted him in a t-shirt without makeup and had prepared a lavish meal. Mr. Isobe was deeply moved by her gentle and attentive nature. The atmosphere quickly became warm. Meanwhile, Kanae Kijima shared with him her struggles, saying that she planned to open a bakery class, which was why she had rented the apartment. However, her previous sponsor had suddenly passed away, leaving her unable to pay for the equipment and causing her to incur a large penalty fee. She was about to be evicted and would become homeless. Completely blinded by love, Mr. Isobe generously transferred 2.53 million yen, about 17,000 USD, to her to resolve her immediate difficulties. Taking advantage of the situation, Kanae Kijima suggested they live together and moved her bed, wardrobe, and large boxes full of cooking tools to Mr. Isobe's house. During the week they lived together, every morning, Kanae Kijima would wake up early and carefully prepare breakfast for Mr. Isobe. From pasta to fried chicken, the meals were rich, diverse, and delicious, better than those from any restaurant. She took great care of him, attending to every detail, even noticing when the ice in his cup had melted and promptly adding more. Under such tender and thoughtful care, Mr. Isobe grew to trust Kanae Kijima even more. He willingly transferred 2 million yen, about 14,000 US dollars, to her for living expenses. As the police described her methods, they realized that this woman was no ordinary con artist. Although her appearance was unremarkable and non-threatening, contrary to the stereotypical image of a femme fatale, she was able, within just a month, to completely lower the guard of a man she had only recently met, making him willingly hand over his money. The police believed that Kanae Kijima was the one responsible for Okubo Tsuyoshi's death. Upon searching her residence, they discovered that she owned a prescription drug with similar ingredients to the sleeping pills found in Okubo Tsuyoshi's body. In just a few months, Kanae Kijima had repeatedly defrauded multiple people and even committed crimes. The police began to suspect that this was not her first murder, so they conducted a more thorough investigation into her activities. The results revealed that, in the same year, 2 more people around her had died under suspicious circumstances, both ruled as accidents. Looking back now, these cases seem to be connected to her. Kanae Kijima did not come from a poor background. She grew up in an affluent family and was highly regarded. She was born in Betsukai, Hokkaido. Her grandfather held an important position in the local judicial system and had served as the chairman of the council, a well-known figure in the community. Kijima's father worked as an administrative employee, while her mother was a piano teacher. She was the eldest of 4 siblings and was expected to excel from a young age, receiving careful nurturing. The Kijima family valued education and maintained strict discipline, pushing their children to engage in extracurricular activities. Influenced by her mother, Kanae Kijima quickly showcased her musical talents. She became skilled at playing the piano and stood out in competitions. She also inherited her father's passion for cooking and from a young age developed a keen interest in preparing breakfast dishes. Since she also loved eating, her figure gradually became fuller. Kanae Kijima's academic performance was always excellent, but when she reached high school, she suddenly veered off her parents' expectations. She began spending the money she earned on expensive cosmetics and started to wear mature makeup. In her junior year, she began a secret long-term relationship with a man in his 40s. Encouraged by him, Kanae Kijima even stole her family's savings book and seal, causing an 8 million yen, about 55,000 US dollars, financial loss for her family. This event shocked her parents, who reprimanded her harshly. The negative relationship eventually ended. After graduating from high school, Kanae Kijima went straight to work. She successfully joined a major fast food company in Tokyo and was assigned to a store in Ebisu, near the company's headquarters. At the orientation, she learned that she had the best test scores among the employees who had graduated from high school. She really enjoyed the job, felt comfortable interacting with her colleagues, and worked with ease. However, 3 months later, she quit the job and found a part-time position at McDonald's. She then enrolled in the business administration department at Toyo University to study business management. Toyo University is a private institution in Tokyo. Kanae Kijima rented an apartment in the Meguro district and started her university life. After leaving her hometown, she became more carefree. One day, by chance, she entered the sex industry and quickly earned a large sum of money. She then began to seriously plan her career. She believed her appearance and figure were not outstanding, but her gentle and thoughtful personality made others feel happy. She maximized her strengths by catering to high-status, older clients, always making them happy. Each time she served, she could earn at least 100,000 yen, about $700. She gradually became immersed in the easy money from this lifestyle and neglected her studies. By her third year of university, Kanae Kijima was expelled for failing to pay her tuition fees. After dropping out, she continued to rely on the sex industry for a living and moved to an apartment in the Itabashi district. She lied and told people she was a piano teacher. For a while, her life was fairly stable. A few years later, her younger brother and sister also moved to Tokyo, and her sister lived with her. They would occasionally throw parties in the apartment, filling it with a lively atmosphere. While Kanae Kijima's work made money quickly, she spent money just as fast. Eventually, she fell into financial difficulty, started to fall behind on rent, and even struggled to maintain basic kindness. Her landlord became increasingly dissatisfied with her. This chaotic life continued for 5 years. At 25, Kanae Kijima met a special client, marking a significant turning point in her life. This person was Fukuyama Sadao, a man in his 60s who ran a small business. He owned a second-hand shop in Matsudo City, Chiba Prefecture. Through years of hard work, he had managed to save a considerable amount of money. Unlike other clients who were simply seeking sensory pleasure, Fukuyama longed for sincere companionship, hoping to find someone who could offer him emotional comfort and support. Kanae Kijima, young and gentle, seemed to fill the gap in his heart perfectly. Kanae Kijima never showed impatience due to his old age. On the contrary, she always wore a gentle smile and listened attentively to Fukuyama's troubles, making him feel warmth that he had been missing for a long time in his tiring life. After completely gaining Fukuyama's trust, Kanae Kijima revealed to him her hidden dream. She longed to attend the University of Cambridge in the UK to study music in depth, but the high tuition fees made it feel like an unreachable goal. She hoped to receive some financial support. Fukuyama did not hesitate for a moment and withdrew money from his savings to help her. 5 years later, when Fukuyama Sato passed away, Kanae Kijima had received a total of 74 million yen, about $510,000 from him under the pretext of tuition fees. Fukuyama Sadao passed away at the age of 70 and was found in his bathtub at home, diagnosed with a sudden cerebral hemorrhage. Kanae Kijima, however, never used the money for attending the University of Cambridge. 6 months before Fukuyama's death, Kanae Kijima rented a luxury apartment in Nishi Ikebukuro 3 and even bought a luxury car, living a life akin to that of the aristocracy. The reason she chose the Ikebukuro area was because she felt that Shinjuku was too close and chaotic, while Ikebukuro struck the perfect balance. She told others that her father was a professor at the University of Tokyo, and that she was a piano teacher and culinary expert, cultivating the image of an intellectual, high-class family. She also adopted the elegant alias Yoshikawa Hana and launched a culinary website called Kanae's Kitchen. Whenever she received an email from someone, Kanae Kijima would proactively respond and include a link to Kanae's Kitchen. The website featured a rich variety of content, with attractive photos of expensive ingredients transformed into exquisite dishes, arranged beautifully on fine dinnerware. She also shared her dining experiences at upscale restaurants, with photos showcasing elegant settings and fine cuisine. Additionally, she posted images from her travels, demonstrating her refined taste and wealthy lifestyle. However, the photos on Kanae's Kitchen were cleverly staged. The few images of her face were taken in such a way that her face was always obscured, revealing only her hair or profile, making it difficult for viewers to see her true appearance or body. This deliberate concealment led men who had not met her in person to form idealized perceptions of the person behind the name Yoshikawa Hana. After a brief online interaction, it was easy for her to arrange real-life meetings. The busy district of Ikebukuro, filled with various high-end restaurants and hotels, provided Kanae Kijima with plenty of opportunities. She often invited these men to a Sichuan restaurant at the Tobu department store for dinner, and afterward, they would go to nearby hotels. There, she would secretly drug them and steal their money. She used the stolen funds to indulge in a refined lifestyle, such as keeping expensive pet dogs and enrolling in various courses like pottery, flower arranging, poetry, and photography. She especially attended a French cooking class to learn advanced culinary techniques, a course that cost several 100,000 yen. She shared her learning achievements and reflections on Kanae's kitchen, making her website content even more diverse. Contrary to expectations, Kanae Kijima dressed very casually and simply. She never wore makeup and always wore plain, comfortable clothes. According to staff members at the pet store she frequently visited, Kanae Kijima was very generous with her pet dogs, but her wardrobe consisted only of sportswear or simple t-shirts with no connection to fashion. When meeting acquaintances, she would appear shy and reserved. Kanae Kijima always introduced herself as Yoshikawa Hana. According to investigations, Kanae Kijima received a total of 1,845 emails, of which she responded to 1,021. She used several aliases and registered more than 10 accounts, adopting various identities such as a piano teacher, a pet groomer, a tutor, and more. She was truly a master of time management. In the first 2 years after moving to Ikebukuro, Kanae Kijima focused solely on money. However, starting in 2009, 2 men in her life passed away one after the other. Although both were initially believed to have died in accidents, when the case of Okubo Tsuyoshi occurred, the police were forced to reconsider these earlier incidents. The first incident took place on February 4, 2009. In Ome City, Tokyo, a 53-year-old man named Tada Takao was found dead in his home. Upon investigating the scene, the police noticed that both the door and windows were locked, and several burned-out charcoal burners were found in the apartment. The autopsy report showed that Tada Takao died from carbon monoxide poisoning. The police discovered a total of 6 charcoal burners in the living room, bedroom, and kitchen, all of which had been completely burned out. The report confirmed that Tada Takao had died a few days prior from carbon monoxide poisoning. At that time, the police found a contact labeled Miss Kanae in Tada Takao's address book. Message records showed that this was a person Tada Takao had been involved with at the time. The police reached out to this individual, who introduced herself as Kijima Akiko. She told the police that the two had met through marriage, but they broke up because Tada was unable to provide her with the children she wanted. She claimed Tada was very upset by the breakup and even mentioned that if he couldn't marry her, he wouldn't want to live anymore. Through investigation, it was confirmed that Tada Takao had personally signed for the delivery of the charcoal burners on January 30th. Therefore, the case was initially considered a suicide by Tada Takao. The true identity of Kijima Akiko was revealed to be Kanae Kijima. The police also found that before his death, Tada Takao had transferred a total of 17 million yen, approximately $116,000 into Kanae Kijima's account. Kanae Kijima had also purchased the charcoal burners and charcoal 2 weeks prior to the incident and had them shipped near Tarada's home on January 30th. Surveillance cameras nearby showed that on the day of the incident, Kanae Kijima checked into a business hotel located 100 meters from the scene. Neighbors of Tada had seen Kanae Kijima near the apartment on the night of the incident. Various signs pointed to the fact that Tada Takao's death was orchestrated by her. 3 months later, a fire broke out in an apartment in Noda City, Chiba Prefecture. After the fire department handled the scene, it was discovered that the elderly owner, 80-year-old Ando Kenzo, had died. At the scene, burned charcoal was found. Further investigation confirmed that Ando Kenzo had sleeping pills in his system, and the cause of death was carbon monoxide poisoning. Ando Kenzo's father was a famous painter, and many valuable paintings were kept in the house, all of which were burned to ashes. 10 years earlier, after Ando's wife passed away, he had lived with his son. The son told the police that Ando Kenzo had diabetes and required daily medication, but had never used sleeping pills. He suspected something unusual about the situation. Ando's son also mentioned that his father had recently hired a caregiver named Kanae Kijima. Kanae Kijima often took advantage of the times when his father was home alone to visit him. His father praised her gentle and thoughtful care, always asking her to come and keep him company. On the day of the incident, the son left for work at 8 a.m. and received the news of the fire at lunchtime. He recalled that it was the day Kanae Kijima had visited his father. In fact, Kanae Kijima had frequently entered Ando's house under the guise of being a caregiver. Before the fire, Ando Kenzo had repeatedly shown signs of being unconscious after her visits. Some paintings and cash in the house often went missing. The day after the incident, Kanae Kijima called Ando's son to ask about his father and his family, sounding very concerned. She also wrote on her website, "Today feels like a detective movie." Initially, the police considered Ando Kenzo, a heavy smoker, as a possible cause of the fire, thinking it might have been an accident caused by his smoking. However, upon further investigation, more evidence surfaced. On the morning of the incident, a witness saw Kanae Kijima's car parked in the supermarket parking lot near Ando's house. Surveillance cameras also showed her opening the trunk of her car and walking toward Ando's house. About 20 minutes later, she returned to the parking lot and drove away. Moreover, on the day of the incident, Kanae Kijima withdrew all the money from Ando's bank account, totaling 1.8 million yen, about 12,000 USD. The police speculated that Kanae Kijima had taken advantage of the fact that Ando's son was out, went to his house, gave him sleeping pills, and then used the charcoal burners to start the fire and destroy the evidence, while also stealing his savings. As the investigation continued over 6 months, Kanae Kijima was arrested 6 times across different provinces, including Saitama, Shizuoka, and Nagano, under suspicion of using marriage as a pretext to defraud victims. She returned some of the stolen money and was released each time. Finally, in February 2010, 6 months after the death of her model lover Okubo Tsuyoshi, the police gathered concrete evidence against Kanae Kijima and arrested her. This was her first arrest for suspected murder. 3 weeks later, she was indicted and taken to court. What surprised many was that Kanae Kijima had a longtime boyfriend, but she had never revealed her real name to him. The police tracked down this man. When he learned that Kanae Kijima had been arrested, he was in disbelief. The shock was so intense that he almost fainted on the spot. The case was subject to Japan's judge system, where ordinary citizens serve as judges alongside professional judges to participate in the trial. This system is typically only used for serious criminal cases in Japan. In January 2012, the case, which attracted widespread attention, went to trial at the Yamanashi District Court. Kanae Kijima, the defendant, was charged with murder. The police reported that there were no traces of charcoal on Okubo Tsuyoshi's hands, and only matches, not a matchbox, were found in his car. Discarding the matchbox elsewhere seemed highly illogical. The police also noted the commonalities between the 3 murder cases, concluding that Kanae Kijima had committed a series of murders. First, the charcoal found at the crime scenes was of the same brand, and there is evidence to show that Kanae Kijima intentionally purchased it before the crimes occurred. Second, Kanae Kijima was the last person to meet all 3 victims. The defense argued that Okubo Tsuyoshi, devastated by the breakup, took his own life. They claimed that Kanae Kijima bought the charcoal at his request and asked for a not guilty verdict. After 3 months of trial, the Yamanashi District Court delivered its ruling. Kanae Kijima was found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. The defense argued that the sentence was too harsh and appealed. 2 years later, the Tokyo High Court upheld the original verdict. The defense continued to contest the decision, and 3 years later, the Supreme Court supported the appeals court's ruling. The Supreme Court stated that Kanae Kijima had intentionally committed murder, planned the crime, and acted with cruelty, showing no remorse. As a result, Kanae Kijima became Japan's 15th female death row inmate after World War II, and the first woman to be sentenced to death under the lay judge system in history. Notably, Japan is one of the few developed countries that still enforces the death penalty, though the actual frequency of executions is low and has been decreasing. Kanae Kijima was held at the Tokyo Detention Center, and it remains uncertain whether her sentence will be carried out. This case shocked public opinion in Japan. Many media outlets referred to Kanae Kijima as the Heisei Widow, the Black Widow Spider, and so on. However, what baffled many was that she did not possess a glamorous appearance. In fact, she looked quite ordinary. What was the allure that caused these men to trust her so completely to the point of willingly giving her vast sums of money? First, Kanae Kijima was very strategic in choosing her targets, middle-aged single men who had accumulated wealth during Japan's period of rapid economic growth. Compared to younger people who grew up during the economic downturn, these men had significant savings, but were more likely to experience emotional emptiness and had a strong desire for the warmth of a family. Kanae Kijima's appearance was ordinary, but her voice was pleasant and made it easy for people to let down their guard. Unlike a prickly rose, she seemed like a harmless flower by the roadside. In court, her voice was clear and even slightly charming, leaving a lasting impression on those who heard it. The middle-aged men were drawn to her gentle demeanor, believing they had found a partner to spend the rest of their lives with. Kanae Kijima was skilled in psychological manipulation and always made the other person feel happy. When facing elderly men over 80 years old, she would affectionately say, "You're wonderful." To shorten the distance, she would gradually shift from formal titles to more intimate names, eventually using affectionate nicknames. She also cleverly used the word fate to add romance and specialness to her relationships. Most importantly, Kanae Kijima would present requests for money as an investment in improving her skills for their future marriage, such as wanting to study abroad or take advanced cooking classes. This perfectly played into the psychological needs of these middle-aged men, making them dream of a shared future with her and leading them to feel responsible for supporting her as a wife. However, some reports present a different perspective on Kanae Kijima. They suggest that, unlike the conventional idea of happiness, striving to beautify and lose weight to be loved, what Kanae Kijima pursued was a more personal kind of happiness. Surprisingly, Kanae Kijima continued to live a colorful life even in prison. 3 years after being incarcerated, a personal website titled Kanae Kijima's Prison Diary appeared online and is still being updated. The site is run by her supporters, who periodically post handwritten letters from Kanae Kijima, sharing her life in prison. Kanae Kijima also began writing novels. In her prison diary, she detailed her family life, which was completely different from the assumptions made by the outside world. Her parents, from a young age, had placed great importance on emotional education for their children, which contrasted sharply with the cold and strict image often rumored about them. Her mother would grow vegetables in the family garden, and in winter, after the snow fell, her father would personally build a small ice rink for her. Every year the family would go camping together, enjoying the outdoors. From this, it seemed that she had a childhood filled with love and affection. This only added more mystery to the motives behind her crimes. During rare visitation opportunities, Kanae Kijima was still able to display an unexpected charm. One elderly man, after meeting her, shared with the media, "When I met her, I was surprised. I understand why people fall in love with her. If Kanae were to leave me, I don't think I could live. I truly understand that feeling." 2 years after being incarcerated in 2015, Kanae Kijima applied for marriage while in prison. The person she intended to marry was a supporter over 60 years old. It was reported that he felt very happy with the marriage, as though he had finally found someone to depend on. However, this period of happiness lasted only half a year, as her husband was involved in a car accident while driving drunk, which left him paralyzed. Kanae Kijima immediately filed for divorce. Just 100 days after the divorce, she remarried a man over 60 years old, an office worker at a real estate company in Tokyo. Kanae Kijima's romantic life didn't stop there. In 2018, she entered her third marriage. The man was an editor at a newspaper, over 40 years old, and they were similar in age. Kanae Kijima seemed particularly smitten with this relationship. In her prison diary, she sweetly referred to him as "my prince" several times. The updates on her website stopped after her third marriage for about half a year and only resumed 6 years later. This new husband had known Kanae Kijima before her verdict. He openly stated that after the verdict, he actually fell in love with her. He believed he understood her deeply and realized that marriage was a means for her to achieve certain goals. Yet, despite this understanding, he had no regrets about the marriage. As for Kanae Kijima, how long this most recent marriage will last, perhaps only she knows. What do you think about Kanae Kijima? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Goodbye, and see you again.